Hey, Aaron, I want to be respectful of your time, and I'm hoping to be able to get you back on the show sometime in the future. So I don't want to completely exhaust our relationship here in this one show. So I'm going to wrap this up.
What about the third one?
What's that?
Let's do the third one.
You want to do the third one?
Real quick, 15 minutes. We got it.
All right. We do have a third video here spooled up. Let me pull this up.
Unless you have to go.
What's that?
Unless you have to go.
No, I'm good.
15 more minutes. Let's go.
All right. Let's see. This is a much more recent event. Let me pull this up. So this is the recent Firefighter event. This is Anthony Santi, a firefighter. He was in a convenience store, and he heard another man, Javon Taylor, cursing at one of the convenience store employees. Maybe it was a liquor store. I forget. No, it was a convenience store. So Javon Taylor was cursing at an employer. The firefighter said, "Hey, don't do that," kind of defended the clerk from this verbal abuse. The men left the convenience store, went out into the parking lot, and a physical confrontation ensued. And apparently Javon Taylor pulled out a gun. He was a felon, by the way, so of course it was unlawful for him to be in possession of a gun, but this is how gun laws don't work. Javon Taylor pulled out a gun. The men went hands-on, and the firefighter, Santi, got into a dominant position over Taylor, put him in some kind of chokehold here. We'll see. Unfortunately, Javon Taylor's girlfriend was there, present. We don't know if she knows how the fight started. She may have, I'm told she got out of her car and just came upon the men when they were already on the ground. But she saw the gun, picked up the gun, and the authorities believe, because she's not being prosecuted for this, the authorities believe that she had a genuine good faith belief that her boyfriend was being killed in the parking lot, and she shot the firefighter and killed him. So here's that video. It's quite short. Again, there is an act of violence here. It stops right at the point of the gunshot. So if that's going to make you uncomfortable, this may not be the video for you to watch, but here we go.
Cell phone video captures the end of a long altercation outside the Liquorland gas station in Independence. Off-duty firefighter Anthony Santi is on top of 23-year-old Javon Taylor. A woman with a gun demands Santi let Taylor go. Later in the video, she fires a round.
The argument, the fighting.
Okay, that's all the video that I'm going to show. This is right at the point. But the firefighter is shot and killed. And you had touched upon this earlier, in fact. The firefighter is attempting to assert control here by having around the other guy's neck. And that looks bad, especially with all the media, the press coverage we've had, the George Floyd incident where police are using force on non-compliant suspects, and the suspect is saying, I can't breathe. Everyone believes now that if you put an arm around someone's neck, I mean, lay people believe this, you're trying to kill that person. And apparently the authorities believe that that's what the girlfriend here believed, and that's why she shot the firefighter, killed him, and that's why she's not being prosecuted, because the prosecutor is saying, hey, when I look at this, it looks to me like she could reasonably have believed that a murder was happening here in that parking lot. If instead the control had been asserted just by wrapping the guy's arms up, like we saw in the first video, well, clearly he's not being subject to any kind of serious bodily force there. So this is one of the reasons I expect that this firefighter perhaps didn't have any or much training in actual BJJ, but was just replicating he'd seen in submissions and MMA fights and things along those lines.
Speaking of firefighters, there's been other incidences where firefighters have lost their lives. There's another one where it's a police officer and a firefighter, and it's tragic. Anybody, firefighter or not, any person, but this is a crazy story. And my first thought is, when I see this, is the fight went to the ground and the gun, did it show the gun falling away from him? Did I see that?
So the gun was on the ground in the parking lot.
In the beginning of the video.
Already when we were watching it.
Yeah.
Or maybe the girlfriend had already picked it up by that point. But
yeah, it's just a reminder of how anybody can be carrying a gun.
Right.
That's what when I see this, I'm like, wow, you start grappling somebody, they have a gun. So just one more reason why, if you can, avoid the grapple, avoid the fight. And it came out and somebody else grabbed it. Unbelievable.
And we have to keep in mind, it's, bystanders may also not know what's really going on, right? They may turn a corner and see a fight in mid-progress and perceive you as being the unlawful aggressor. And if they have that perception, and it's reasonable, they're allowed to use force in defense of others. If they believe someone's being subject to unlawful deadly force, someone's being murdered, they're allowed to step in to protect the person they think is being murdered. They may be mistaken about all of that, but the law doesn't require perfect decision-making. It requires reasonable decision-making. And if they reasonably, but incorrectly, shoot the wrong person, that's still lawful, as long as it was a reasonable perception of what was going on. This happens all the time with cops, by the way. We just had a recent event where one cop shot another cop who was in plain clothes. A uniformed cop turns a corner. They see a plainclothes guy pointing a gun at someone, and they shoot that person. And it turns out the plainclothes guy is himself a cop who was defending himself in a street confrontation. We call those cases awful but lawful. It's not a good outcome. It's not what anybody would have wanted. But the victim's still dead.
Yeah. And speaking of the video where the firefighter was attacking the neck or controlling the neck, I'm not sure of the grip that he had. It wasn't very clear.
It was pixelated too. So
it's very normal for someone that's unskilled to go after the other person's head. People have this idea that when you control the person's head, whether it's the neck or the head or a headlock or any kind of wrapping of the person's head, if you're not punching, that seems to be what I see the most of, is like this neck attacking. And it's not from a place of I want to, in many cases, I don't believe it's from a place of I want to kill this person. It's from a place of I want to control them through their head.
Right.
And I saw a fight randomly in Costa Rica a year or so ago, and both were just constantly going for the face and the head, which makes me want to practice and prepare more and train more defenses when someone's going for my eyes, going for my throat, trying to choke me or headlock me. It's very important to know how to defend yourself from those things. And it's important for people to, when they see somebody fighting, someone's controlling somebody, it could be a police officer or it could be a civilian who's controlling somebody by way of the neck. Although their intention is not to do, deadly force and kill that person, you can still talk to them and pull a hand off of their neck and help them control the person. In this situation, it was the girlfriend,
right?
So she didn't know what to do at all, of course. But I think of myself as a bystander. If I saw somebody attacking someone's neck and I didn't know whose gun it was, I didn't know what was happening, my first thought is, okay, I can get the hands off the neck and I can help control someone, because you can see how easily that can be interpreted as you're trying to take their life.
Right.